Tyler Horka, we saw Howard Cross limp off the sideline, and he was pretty wrapped up standing on the sideline with a left ankle injury. Marcus Freeman's update today on Howard Cross.
Yeah, he said he's going to be out for the Virginia game, and based on what you just described and based on what we saw there at Notre Dame Stadium on Saturday, not surprised. And you have to factor in opponent to this as well. I don't think Notre Dame is going to need Howard Cross to play against Virginia to win that football game. Notre Dame didn't need Howard Cross to play against Florida State to win that football game either. But if you're looking at what Notre Dame still has ahead of it, a ranked game against Army, who is appearing in both the AP Top 25 and the coaches poll, will probably appear in the college football playoff rankings when those come out again on Tuesday. That's going to be a big game. When you talk about those games against the service academies, Darren, triple option offense, you want your veteran players. Howard Cross is a fifth-year guy. You want him on the field. So I think this is one of those cautious moves where we saw him roll that ankle pretty good. He walked right by me when I was standing there in the North Tunnel at Notre Dame Stadium, heavily wrapped ankle. I think there was even a brace under all of that tape. So he's in a little bit of pain, and there's no reason for Notre Dame to put him out there, especially with the way that Donovan Heinisch came in and played in his stead in that game. A couple of sacks for Heinisch. He's going to get a start against Virginia. I think Notre Dame's going to be just fine without Cross in the middle of that defensive line.
Cross might get a few more hours of rehab on that ankle with the Army-Notre Dame game. It's going to start at 7 o'clock Eastern time next Saturday. Any other injury concerns for the Irish heading into the Virginia game?
Yeah, a lot of reserve players who are showing up on the injury report. Marcus Freeman kind of listed those off in his Monday press conference. I will list those off for you guys as well. Devin Ford, obviously a special team staple for Notre Dame. Haven't really seen him as much as a running back lately, especially with Aeneas Williams, the freshman who Marcus Freeman had some kind words about in his press conference today. Devin Ford, though, like I said, still a special team staple. He is questionable with the right groin injury. Max Hurlman, we've seen him on special teams a bunch as well, primarily as that number one punt returner. He's questionable. Marcus Freeman says if you ask Hurlman, he'll probably tell you that he's probable, but that's another one of those situations where I think Notre Dame is going to be fine if you have to put in a Jordan Faison or a Jaden Greathouse as a punt returner. Those guys are pretty dependable as well. So, but that is one to monitor because Hurlman's been showing up in a lot of special teams areas, not just as that punt returner. Logan Thomas did not play against Florida State. We saw him kind of in the same circle as Jordan Botelho and Boubacar Traore, and that's a circle you want to be on when those guys are healthy because they were very good players for Notre Dame. But when you see them walking around with those big braces on their knees, that's where Logan Thomas was. Not obviously as serious as the season-ending injuries that those guys had for Thomas, but the fact that he was held out of that game with the right hamstring injury, hamstrings, I'm a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I know that they are no fun. Dak Prescott may not play another football game this season with the hamstring injury. Again, I don't think it's that serious with Logan Thomas, but he is questionable again for this game. Wouldn't be surprised if he's not able to show up. I will say one more thing that was not mentioned today. Mitch Jeter, we saw him kick. We saw him miss pretty wildly a field goal in that Florida State game, but he kicked all the extra points and whatnot as well. The fact that he's off the injury report, I think if you're going to miss a field goal and coming back from an injury that kept you out of a couple games, you might as well do it in a 52-3 final. So I think better days are ahead of Mitch Jeter. He's probably going to have to make a field goal in a close game down the stretch of this Notre Dame season. You kind of like that he shook the rust off there against Florida State.
There are reserves on the injury list because a lot of reserves are getting playing time at the current time. And just like the Georgia Tech game, the Florida State broadcasters wanted to bring up, is Notre Dame trying to run up the score? Why are they trying to score? Why are they throwing the football with Steve Angeli? I'm a little confused why a second broadcast team is questioning what Notre Dame is doing late in the games. Last time I checked, you don't want to just hand the ball off or take a knee with reserves in there. You're trying to get guys ready for the next opportunity that might come down the road.
You notice how many questions were asked of Marcus Freeman in his Monday press conference about the fact that all of these reserves are getting playing time and what has been time and again, week in, week out, outside of that Louisville game, which is now almost 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, Notre Dame has been blowing everybody out. Yeah, these reserves have come in, and it's not like I mentioned everything that was asked of Marcus Freeman because the context was not like these broadcasters have been setting it up. It was, hey, what I asked a question. I said, hey, what do you think? How do you evaluate the play of these guys that come in? I know it's garbage time, but Do you see some things where you could say, hey, that might work in a first or second quarter in a closer game? And some other beat members, Jack Sobel, my colleague included, we're really getting into the ins and outs of this garbage time, if you will, performances from Notre Dame. None of it had to do with style points. Darren, did you hear anything of style points mentioned in those questions? No. It's about building a football program. It's about making your team deeper, getting your reserves some playing time. Because Marcus Freeman made a very good point in saying that no amount of practice reps are ever even going to come close to getting actual playing time against, yes, it's a 1-9 Florida State football team, but it's still a Florida State football team that has different players, different schemes. You're going out there and you're doing it on a Saturday as opposed to a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So it's not style points. It's making your football team better. And I'll close all of this by saying Steve Angeli threw 3 passes. Yes, one of them happened to be a touchdown pass, but how are you going to get angry at Notre Dame playing the game of football for 60 minutes and your quarterback only came in and attempted 3 passes? It's not running up the score. It's not style points. It's Notre Dame getting to a place where it's a better football team. That's all it is.
I guess the broadcasters wish Talich would have just taken a knee on his interception.
Run out of bounds. Do something.
Goodness gracious. All right.